Guys, Youngblood with you, and we had a really good 10 for the chairman with Chris Roberts and Tony Zurovec, where they were really focused on 3.0 and specifically the professions that are going to be coming into the game. Now, I want to go ahead and do this little summarize the verse for you, special edition, 10 for the chairman. So without further ado, here's the short version of this for those of you that didn't have time to watch it. The first question was about items and cargo on planets and if you're actually going to see them in person. And the answer there was yes, that you're going to end up seeing them in crates and boxes. So for example, if you're at a warehouse and you want to buy some goods, you're actually going to see the goods. Now, it seems like this does have some limits though. For example, with weapons, you may end up seeing smaller options in store displays, but if you want something massive, you're probably going to end up buying that from a kiosk for like delivery to you later. So a Badger you might end up seeing in store, but an Idris railgun you're probably not going to see in person. Now, in a similar vein, in regards to loading cargo on big ships, it's not the Elite of Dangerous approach where it just magically ends up in your cargo hold. It'll take time to get everything loaded or unloaded, which is actually going to be a mission of sorts that can be given to NPCs or players. Now, the system itself is transferable to different ships of different sizes, but the time it takes is probably going to be scalable and it's going to have an impact. Overall, they plan to have the services at bigger ports to help you load or unload, but let's say you land at a smaller remote location without that service, you're going to be doing it all by yourself or hiring an NPC or another player to help you out. As far as salvaging is concerned, it's two primary tasks, and it's based on what you're actually going for. The first of which is taking things that are in good working order, or at least close to it, and bringing them with you to repair or to sell. Those are obviously going to be more valuable materials. The other piece of that puzzle is going to be grabbing the scrap metal to be processed or sold as raw material. The way people do it is going to really end up depending on how they like to play. For example, some people are just going to go for the good, expensive stuff and leave, while others may spend more time trying to dismantle everything they possibly can to maximize their profits, but at the cost of their time. It may also depend on the type of ship. A reclaimer is probably going to sit there and eat everything, but if you're on like a cutlass or something, you're probably not going to be sitting there breaking off pieces of the hull. You're probably just going to grab the good stuff and split. They also mentioned that the longer you stay, the higher your risk of attack or your competition moving in would be. Now, in that same light, when asked about the hazards of mining or cargo runs, we find that wear and tear on ships is a day-to-day issue, as well as the other natural issues out there like comets or meteors or micro black holes, which sounds awesome, and other debris out there. And while that is all dangerous stuff, that could also be information that's valuable to sell, so you probably want to document that sort of stuff as you go. That's on top of the normal dangers that you have when you're doing cargo runs or mining, being enemies. Now, someone asked about the persistence of the world and gave the example of breaking a window at Port Alazar and asking if it's going to be just magically repaired. And the answer there was yes. Things can change though, and it will have different levels. Like if somebody's sitting there firing off a gun and the bullet casings are flying everywhere, those casings are eventually going to disappear to save engine resources. But things like a ship parked somewhere are not. It kind of depends on what that actually is. And they go on to say that the NPCs are going to sort of take on the role of space garbage men and are going to take care of day-to-day stuff. So if somebody knocks over like a display case, somebody's probably going to come and pick that stuff up and make it organized again. Now, when asked about taking on multiple professions, they said that you're not going to have to re-qualify for new jobs once you start something else. You're going to retain most of your skill set, and you would be able to just start right up and get to work. Now, as far as qualifying for those jobs is concerned, they said that if your ship is actually capable, you can do that role. So if you have a cargo ship, you can haul cargo. But if you want more high-paying jobs, you may end up needing to build up your reputation with the involved parties to take those on. Now, we have heard before that your reputation with those parties may end up decreasing at some point if you don't continue to work with them. So it's going to be kind of a balancing act. Now, we have heard to this point that they're planning on doing mining in 3.0, and the question was brought up with the progress of the Prospector, should we expect to see some mining in 3.0? And the answer there was that they're going to try and get some basic mining in 3.0, but they had originally planned a very simple version of it. As they started working and developing and game planning that, the amount of detail going into it and the amount of work needed means it's now about 4 times more involved than was originally planned. So there should be something about mining in 3.0, but it'll likely be a very basic form of it for that first iteration. And finally, they said that ships will have kind of an autopilot mode for long distance travels, which is really great, but it will pretty much be a flying in a straight line. You can have a crewman take the wheel, and they could fly for you and obviously be a little bit better, or you can have the ship just do it for you so you can get up and move around. But obviously when you're doing that, you're a bit at risk when no one's flying, but you still have that ability. So that's the short version of the 10 for the chairman. It had some really great information in it. I'm pretty excited to see how this all ends up playing out. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm going to have another one of these Summarize the Verses probably coming this weekend, where we're going to talk about the Around the Verse and the happy hour. So if you have questions on that stuff, just stay tuned. Otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.